The federal minimum wage has been stuck at $7.25 an hour since July 24th, 2009. Now, back then, the #1 song was I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas.
I got a feeling.
The #1 movie, I had to look this up, was something called G-Force.
G-Force.
It was an animated tale of animals who were secret agents who had the power to speak to humans. And Paul Rudd, well, he looked like this. Seriously, how does he even look the same? I don't get it. Now, we're talking about 2009 because tucked inside Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion rescue plan to deal with the coronavirus is a proposal to more than double the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Now, that sounds great to a lot of low-income workers, but Republicans say buyer beware. And one prominent member of the GOP says that if the bill passes, almost 4 million Americans will lose their jobs. It's time for the Truth of Meter Minute. Hey everybody, it's Aaron with PolitiFact. First, let's catch you up on what's been happening with the federal minimum wage since 2009. Democrats have tried and tried and tried to raise the minimum wage up from $7.25 an hour. And most recently, they've been settling on around $15 an hour, more than double of what it is today. Their idea boils down to if you pay people more money, you're gonna lift people up out of poverty. Now, in 2017, there were about 542,000 people across the country who made the current federal minimum wage, $7.25 an hour. Now, if they worked 40 hours a week and 52 weeks a year, that equates to about $15,000 a year. Now, make that number $15. What happens? That person's annual income goes to over $31,000. Disclaimer, it's important to note that some cities and states have a higher minimum wage than the federal minimum wage, and in those cases, the employee gets the higher amount. It's also important to note that not everyone qualifies for the federal minimum wage. People who work at a really small business and independent contractors are exempt. Now, restaurant workers, they do qualify for the minimum wage, but employers can take that money out of their tips. Any questions? Consult the Department of Labor. Now, Republicans, they worry about the cost of raising the minimum wage on businesses. After all, that $16,000 has to come from somewhere. And they're worried that bad things are going to happen. Republicans say businesses will struggle with these mandated costs, and that means they're going to have to lay off employees. And in those cases, certainly earning $7.25 an hour is better than zero.
Maybe some people will actually get a wage increase, but others will fully lose their jobs.
Researchers are still studying the effects of a higher minimum wage in places where it exists today, like San Francisco or Seattle or Washington, D.C. But I want to focus on one claim made by House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy of California. In opposing Biden's plan, he said raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour would result in 3.7 million Americans losing their jobs. McCarthy appears to be citing a Congressional Budget Office estimate from 2019 that said at the high end, 3.7 million Americans could be out of work if the federal minimum wage was increased. The problem for him is there's a newer report, and the estimate is no longer nearly that high. The 2021 CBO report estimated that 17 million people would get a raise thanks to a new federal minimum wage, and 900,000 people would be lifted out of poverty. On the flip side, the report said that on average, about 1.4 million Americans might lose their jobs. So we rated McCarthy's claim false for using the high end of an old estimate. But the policy questions here remain complicated. What do you think? If you support the federal minimum wage, are you okay with some Americans, maybe a million or more, losing their jobs? And if you oppose raising the minimum wage, what would you do to try to get people more money, those folks making just $15,000 a year? That's it for now. You can read the full fact check on PolitiFact.com and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to see more videos like these.